So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Liz Truss risking splitting her supporters with the poison chalice of the Northern Ireland negotiations minister, whatever the hell you want to call her, the Brexit minister, essentially. And we're going to be talking a lot more about Liz Truss, which is kind of annoying, but she's kind of the new important character in this Brexit series, and we're going to do some kind of gamesmanship. So we're going to be talking about why kind of Liz Truss would take this role, especially now given how much under pressure Boris Johnson is. Obviously, she wouldn't have known it at the time, but it'd be fairly interesting nonetheless. So at least I hope you find it interesting. So, as Liz Truss gets ready for her first meeting with the European Commission, so this is recorded before, so Thursday she had her meeting. Thursday, what was the date on it? It was the 13th. So this was written before she had that meeting. So she was meant to meet, Maros Sefcovic. Figures on both sides of the channel are debating how the ambitious Foreign Secretary will handle the poison chalice brief, that is the Northern Ireland Protocol. And in this article, the author, Adam Payne, does go to talk about how it is a poison chalice and the issues she's going to face. And I did find it a good article. So this is how the role is being described in Westminster amid a widespread belief that how Truss manages the government's negotiations with the European Union, sorry about that noise in the background if you can hear it, could have a significant impact on hopes she may have eventually replacing Boris Johnson. So essentially she's been given a very tough role, and this will kind of not decide her fate in if she will replace Boris Johnson, but could have a significant impact in it. So Truss, the Chancellor, Truss and Rishi Sunak. So Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak are currently the two frontrunners to succeed Johnson, with the Prime Minister's future hanging in the balance after weeks of damaging headlines and plummeting polls, and they've only gotten worse. But as one former senior government official who worked alongside Truss put it to Politics Home last week, agreeing to take responsibility of the protocol, which the UK and EU are renegotiating more than a year after it came into effect, creates a real dilemma for Liz Truss. Her credibility as Foreign Secretary relies on being able to cut deals and cultivate serious relations with European countries on major strategic issues like Russia and China, which she's going to struggle to do. But it's more than just European countries. This is a very Western-centric belief of what the Foreign Secretary does. It's global. Her role is global. She'll be there having to deal with the situation in Iran with Nazarene Ratcliffe Zahawi, things like that, and other kind of issues with British nationals abroad or foreign countries acting up, or if the UK is seen as acting up, she's going to have to be the one who fronts up and deals, tries to deal with it to an extent. So this is a very Western-centric kind of belief of the role of the Foreign Secretary there, which is a bit embarrassing from whoever gave this quote. Her credibility with the Brexiteer wing of the Tory party rests on her not compromising on issues such as the role of the ECJ, which is something she doesn't want to compromise on. If we find it... Oh, where's it gone? Ah, there it is. It says... It's here. We're proposing common sense solutions. That means no checks or documentation on goods moving from GB to Northern Ireland that are staying there. We are happy to continue checking goods. There was a bit on the ECJ. Here it is. Independent arbitration is the international norm for such agreements, and that is what I want to see. Well, why didn't you put that in the deal then originally? As I've said, we need to end the role of the European Court of Justice as the final arbiter for disputes. So what he says does check out. She wrote this article on the 8th of January. So he wrote this article on the 8th of January, so he's citing that directly, talking about the ECJ bit. On a dramatic Saturday night last month, Frost unexpectedly resigned as Johnson's Minister for EU Relations, saying he was uncomfortable with the government's direction on travel, and then he listed a load of reasons which probably aren't true. His departure came at a pivotal moment in talks with the EU over the Northern Ireland Protocol. Essentially, he caved massively and said, oh yeah, we accept the role of the ECJ and that the current EU Commission has no mandate to change that. And then Liz Truss is like, yeah, nah bro, we're going back on that one. Lord Frost's walkout came just before the UK appeared to soften its approach on the ECJ. While he publicly dismissed the claim, figures close to him believe that this was a key contributing factor on Frost quitting. Essentially, he was put in a box, and I think Johnson said, look, just get this over with. And that's why he caved. And then Frost was like, nah, I'm out, dog. So, however, up stepped Liz Truss. So they thought it could be Ian Duncan Donut, or there was Stephen Barclay, but no, it was Liz Truss. This is a conundrum which faces the former Remainer, is how to balance the government's desire to strike a deal with the EU, which we already have a deal. This is just further negotiations around the Northern Ireland Protocol as soon as possible, with not disappointing staunch pro-Brexit Tory MPs whose support could be crucial to her winning a future leadership contest. Essentially, she has to balance the support of the ECJ and other hardliners in the Tory party, but also with her kind of requisite, which is to get a further agreement with the EU on things like agri-foods and kind of ease the kind of stress of goods going from GB to NI, whilst also lowering tensions in Northern Ireland. Which again, she can't win here. Essentially, the only way she can win, right, is if she drags out these negotiations around the ECJ. She gets the agri-food agreement right early in the year. She's saying March is her target. It's a separate article we'll cover. She gets it done by, say, March, April. And then she drags on the bit about the ECJ. But in the meantime, Johnson is out post her getting the agreement on agri-foods. So Johnson is out, leadership election ensues, and then Liz Truss potentially becomes Prime Minister. And at that point, she replaces herself as Brexit Minister with someone else, and that person has the task of dealing with the ECJ bit, whilst Liz Truss takes a victory lap for getting the agri-foods agreement. That's how I can see this playing out. And if Sunak becomes Prime Minister, what she'll do is she'll resign as Brexit Minister. If she keeps her role as Foreign Secretary, then fine. But what she'll do is give that role to someone else, or have that role allocated to someone else, and essentially, once again, she gets out without failing to get an agreement, because she won't have to, because she'll be out of time, essentially. From a traditional Foreign Office point of view, it wants to have good relationships with global players. You got to explain that to Liz, like the EU and the US, and would be in favour of getting this issue, the Northern Ireland Protocol, settled. Jill Rutter of the UK in a Changing Europe think tank explained. But Liz Truss will be keeping her eye on the attitude of Tory MPs, as well as the wider Conservative Party electorate, where playing tough with the EU plays quite well. And this is the problem here. This is why I think she's going to drag the bit about the ECJ out long enough so that Johnson is out of office. And that gives her space to manoeuvre and gives her a victory lap. One possible series of events being bandied out in Westminster that if Truss fails to make a breakthrough in talks with Šefčovič over the next few weeks, she will push Downing Street to fulfill its threat to suspend parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol by triggering Article 16, which is widely seen as the nuclear option, and then resign if Boris Johnson refuses to do so. That is a very, very plausible idea, to be honest. I didn't think of this one. This one's a great option. Say, this is enough, we had enough, Johnson trigger Article 16, Johnson says no, and then Liz Truss resigns as Brexit Minister. That's a good play, but the problem is Johnson will probably fire her as Foreign Secretary as well at that point. But that's an interesting theory. Like I said, it's a good article by Adam Payne. Proponents of this theory argue it would help Truss impress pro-Brexit Conservative backbenchers who want the government to take a hardline approach. Among those backbenchers is Duncan Donut, the Tory MP, the Tory party's former leader, who told Politics Home, "We need to make sure this is dealt with by either invoking Article 16, or by getting the EU to agree it is time we change the nature of how the protocol works with an alternative. The problem is that you're going to propose a crappy alternative, and the EU Commission has no mandate to actually renegotiate. They're going to have to go back to all the 27 leaders and be like, this situation, what can we do?" And, no doubt France will be like, shut up at that point, stop it. Friends of Truss insist that the Foreign Secretary is fully focused on reaching an agreement with the EU and point to the conversation she already has had with multiple European counterparts, which, again, she's determined to get a deal, but what kind of deal? What kind of agreement are we going to reach here? That's the key question. She's very busy. She has really thrown herself into it. Well, I would expect she's very busy. She's the Foreign Secretary, she's the Minister for Women's Inequalities, and she's now the Brexit Minister. She has, multiple roles here, said one ally, and she still has time to, chill out in Chevening or whatever it's called, that big country house. Adding that, as well as discussing the Northern Ireland Protocol with numerous EU foreign ministers, she has a steady stream of meetings with officials, including former members of Frost's team. They told Politics Home that the conversations she has had with Šefčovič have been very friendly, and both agreed the need to find a solution as soon as possible. Here's the classic Tory trick of, get something you both agree on, and then go complete the other way with what the solutions are. Classic Tory manoeuvre there. EU figures are cautiously optimistic that Truss will strike a different tone in negotiations to Frost, which has not happened, who was regularly accused of being belligerent, not least because she wants to maintain a good relationship with European counterparts in dealing with issues such as Russia and China. So like I said, she's in an incredibly precarious situation here. This is all her own doing. She has put herself in this situation. Her overambition will probably be her undoing, but it is very much a poison chalice. and she has to balance kind of the needs of Northern Ireland, which she probably doesn't care that much about. But also, the fact is she wants to be Prime Minister, and that means she has to appeal to the hardliners in the Tory party, like Brexit hardman Steve Baker, because I don't think Sunak's going to appeal to them. The leadership contest, the debates will be interesting between Liz Truss and Sunak. I can't imagine how they're going to go. One's going to be like, oh, Sunak, you couldn't get an agreement over services with the EU. And then Sunak would be like, well, you couldn't get rid of the ECJ in the Northern Ireland Protocol. So it's going to be comical, I believe. But yeah, anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.